On today's episode, you'll hear from the most recognizable real estate resource for the South Side of Chicago. This is the Be a Marketer Podcast, Real Estate Edition.
Be a Marketer.
My name is Dave Charest, Director of Small Business Success at Constant Contact, and I help small business owners like you make sense of online marketing. And on this podcast, we'll explore what it really takes to market your business, even if marketing's not your thing. No jargon, no hype, just real stories to inspire you and practical advice you can act on. So remember, friend, you can be a marketer. And at Constant Contact, we're here to help. Well, hello, friend, and thanks for joining us for another episode of the Be a Marketer Podcast. Now, as you might have noticed, today's episode is actually going to be a little bit different. But hey, before you go going crazy, it's going to be all right because Kelsey Carter is still here. Right, Kelsey?
The crowd goes wild. Yes, Kelsey Carter is here and happy to be here. Hi, Dave.
Hello, Kelsey. What are you going to tell us about today's episode?
Well, today's episode is actually the first in a limited series that we're dedicating to the real estate industry. You may remember from episode 72 when we were joined by Stephanie Alfonso, our Senior Director of Vertical Innovation at Constant Contact. Well, we're excited to say that she's back for these episodes.
Yes, good old episode 72. Now, not only is Steph going to be back to bring her real estate expertise, of course, to the show, but she's also lined up some really great conversations with some big names in the industry. So let's say hello to Steph. Steph, are you out there?
I am here. Hey, guys. So excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you. I am so stoked just for all the guests that we are going to be bringing to this series, especially today.
Yeah, this is really cool. Now, if you're listening and you're saying, hey, I'm not in the real estate industry, I'm going to skip this one. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, and we're all nodding our head in agreement here, that this is going to be a mistake if you skip this one, because there are so many business and marketing lessons in this episode that really can be applied to any business. Steph, I want to give you the honor of introducing our next guest here today.
Oh, for sure. And an honor it certainly is. Marki Lemons Ryhal. She is, my goodness, so many things. She is a real estate keynote speaker. She is a podcast host. She is a chief artificial intelligence officer at ReMarkiTable LLC, amongst many other things. She truly is a rock star, and it was indeed an honor to be able to sit with her. She is somebody whose career I personally have admired for many, many years, and just such a force in the real estate industry. Deep roots spanning generations, which we're going to hear about, and certainly has become a pillar in the space. She brings decades of experience and just has an inspiring perspective on achieving business success. And honestly, I think you guys will both agree, her humor is infectious. So she's just somebody that you just want to listen to and conversate with forever and ever. So it makes it no surprise that she is a sought-after global speaker.
Yeah, this really was a fantastic conversation that, I mean, to be honest, just went by way too fast. And we covered some pretty interesting things that I know you're not going to want to miss, right? We talked about the one thing holding real estate agents back. We talked about how good agents become great agents. And she also brings up something she's actually never said publicly before. So if you're a broker giving leads to new agents, you're going to want to pay attention to this episode. Now, as I mentioned, there's lots to love about this conversation with Marki. You can tell she really approaches business from this entrepreneurial mindset, something that's, well, as we'll find out, in her blood. Let's go to Marki.
I'm a proud Chicago fifth generation entrepreneur who birthed a sixth generation entrepreneur. I was raised to be an entrepreneur. My family celebrated 70 years of being in business this year. I went to college and earned an undergrad degree in hospitality management and immediately went to grad school and earned an MBA degree in marketing. I started teaching on a collegiate level at the age of 25, teaching hospitality management courses, and quickly realized that I was too young and did not have enough experience to be in the classroom. It was a lot of theory, and I don't teach theory. I don't think you should tell people to do something you haven't personally done. And so I told myself I was going to go get me some real experience, and I would come back to the classroom at the age of 40. Well, I went through a bitter lawsuit with my family, came into the world of real estate as a loan originator. I wanted to feel like a stay-at-home mom and earn an above average income. and decided to pivot from the lending side of business to leverage my real estate broker's license because I would earn more money per transaction. So it was a true business decision. And within 3 years, I wanted to volunteer more and serve on boards. And my mentor, Frank Williams, told me, he said, look here, baby doll, no one ever forgets the name of the person standing at the front of the room. I believe that you should become a licensed, pre-licensed, and continuing education instructor. So in 2006, I became a licensed, pre-licensed instructor and continuing education instructor in the state of Illinois. And because I had already started to accumulate a lot of designations and certifications, I then started teaching those designations and certifications. So 2006, I went from never standing in front of a real estate classroom, but having teaching experience to teaching designations and certifications. And I realized that if I changed my title and learned another skill set, I could charge more. And so it was a licensed instructor, then I was a trainer, and then I was a speaker. And then I realized if you become very good at storytelling, you can be a keynote speaker, which actually was always my sweet spot. So today I'm a global keynote speaker in the world of real estate, but I'm also a prop tech investor. I'm an author, 30-time published. Actually, I am the publisher. So I've published 30 publications in which I am the author. And I believe in repurposing my content. So I'm going to suck every ounce of juice out of everything that I create, but I'm going to create it in video because video is the only form of content that you can repurpose without recreating. That's kind of how we're here.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's so inspiring. And I feel like it can go in so many directions. In one of the videos that I watched of yours, Marki, you said that your grandfather told you that competition is healthy for business.
Yes.
Give it all away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to hear you just talk about how you implemented that into your life. Just kind of expand on that a little bit because I loved, because I've seen you on stage and I've watched your videos and I'm in the real estate world and I've always kind of looked up to you and the way that you teach. Going back to how it started, how has what your grandfather said, how has that impacted your
Well, let me
business
give you
now?
a little bit more background about my grandfather. So my
Mhm.
grandfather came from Mississippi with nothing, one pair of shoes with holes in them, and he did not graduate from 8th grade. However, him and 3 of his brothers all died self-made millionaires, independent, but 3 were from the barbecue business and one worked at UPS and made investments in stock before they went public. So kind of give you the idea.
Mm.
And so understanding that this man had the capability to provide for his children, his grandchildren, he retired my grandmother.
Mm.
I understood, and I remember standing at his cash register saying, my granddaddy make more money than the Goldblatt brothers because he had more money in his cash register than Goldblatts had in theirs when I was looking in their cash register, right? So he tells me this story. And I knew at the time that, well, Famous Dave's Barbecue, there's a picture of Lem's Barbecue on their wall. We're a part of their decor because when Dave wanted to open Famous Dave's, he came to Lem's Barbecue. And there are a lot of other barbecue restaurants in the city of Chicago that when they wanted to go into the barbecue business, they went and had a talk with James Lemons. And so my grandfather showed me, he taught people how to trim meat, how to make their barbecue sauce. He put Moo and Oink, which is now they're no longer in business, but a famous meat establishment here in the city of Chicago. He was their first customer until the day they closed their doors. So a lady came to me and asked me about the barbecue business, and I didn't know if I should tell her about it. And I called my granddaddy, and he said to me, Marki, competition is healthy for business. Give it all away. It makes you recreate yourself continuously. So in the world
Mm.
of real estate, I am willing to share anything about how I make money, how I not only repurpose my video content, but essentially how I even repurpose my income. And for me, people probably going to be mad about this statement. People where being in business for 50, 60 years, 80 can barely walk as a badge. That's not a badge to me. No, I'm being honest, right? I have a retirement date in mind. That means I have to be a good steward of my money. And in being a good steward of my money, what do you do with all this income that you have for real estate? And how do you repurpose that income? And so I'm willing to share with people not only the strategies that I use, because I'm viewed as being innovative, and I am innovative, right? How being innovative puts you at a running start over your competition to create systems for longevity. So I'm willing to share all of that. What I've noticed is that only 10% of the people will take it and implement. And then people want to shortcut the system, right? When I listen to what people tell me to do, this is how I have these blockbusters, is what I would call them, things that a lot of other people don't obtain in the shortest amount of time. It's because someone told me how to do it, and I did it exactly the way they told me to do it. So you can give it away, doesn't mean they're going to implement it, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to try to take shortcuts.
Right.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I think that's the big thing that you always find, right? Is that, I kind of came up in like content marketing, right? And the idea was like, yeah, give value, let people know. Don't just give them just don't lead them to the thing, but actually give them the stuff. And everybody's like, well, I don't want to give it all away. And the reality is, to your point, most people aren't going to do anything with it, right? They're still going to enjoy it. They're going to like the content. They're going to share it. They're going to do those things. But whether or not they actually take action, and I think that's the end of the day, the thing that separates the people at the top from the two people at the bottom, right? Is actually taking that action.
It makes a whole lot of sense when we think about the real estate industry and just kind of the natural inclination of real estate agents. 20% of the agents are doing all the business, and that's a problem. Well, maybe to not agents, to other agents, it's like, all right, fine, I'll do the business, right? But it does hurt the industry, when we think about how there's a decline of real estate agents and all of that going on. And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but that's something I do want to discuss is you're putting it out there. You're saying, hey, listen, this is how I built my success. This is what will help you to be successful. And yet you're saying that only about 10% of agents are actually mimicking that or taking that wisdom and that knowledge and actually implementing it. When it comes to marketing, because that's so much of what you talk about, Marki, and how you coach and what you say to do, and you speak very plainly. You're like, listen, if you want this to happen, you need to do this, this, and this. Have a
Yes.
good day. And I love that. What is it that's holding agents back? Why do they struggle with their marketing? Why, in today's age, where showcasing their value is more important than ever before, why aren't they doing it? What's the struggle here?
So I want to read something to you before I answer your question. And it comes back to kind of giving it all away. So I meet a young gentleman at an event, and this is the text that I got from him yesterday. Thank you for the changes you suggested I make to my pitch after Chicago to show that my software isn't just for us. And to me, the angle was that it was focusing just on being Black, right? He said, I did so and won $125,000 last Friday. Okay. Now, I never met this gentleman a day before in my life. Okay. But I thought that my marketing skills would help him to reposition for the purpose of winning pitch battles because everyone needs to see themselves in the pitch battle, not just Black folks, right? And I probably could say it in a way as a Black woman that no one else could say it, right? But if we come back to what is holding real estate professionals back, I'm going to tell you first an unrealistic expectation. And here's why I say it's unrealistic. They don't understand being an entrepreneur. They watched HGTV. They don't understand, no, for real.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
understand sales and marketing. The pre-licensed real estate curriculum does not teach you how to sell real estate. So they have to be an entrepreneur. There's an entrepreneurial mindset that must come from this. And to me, any new licensee who asks their broker owner for leads already does not understand their position here. That 10% is not waiting on their broker to provide them leads. Either they are attracting those leads or they're buying their own leads because they understand what their book of business is, which might be different from their broker, right? So they got a business plan and they work in their business plan. So not only do they not realize they're entrepreneurs and they're responsible for their own business and they are fiduciaries, okay, to every person they work for, regardless of the brokers they align with, there is a lack of consistency. We are inconsistent, but that 10% is consistent. They live by a schedule. They have, as my son would say, being successful in real estate is doing boring things consistently. It is boring. Okay. But we have to consistently do boring things. And when I talk about consistency, my son is a licensed real estate broker who took until December 19th, 2023 to become consistent. But let me tell you what being consistent for essentially 10 months can do for your business. My son right now is number one in units sold in our office and did six figures in 6 months once he decided to become consistent. And so I'm looking at agents in our brokerage. I'm the number three attractor. I'm seeing what their numbers are. And I can tell you a lack of consistency is your business killer.
Mm. So it's interesting when you talk about if an agent is asking their broker for leads right off the bat, that's a red flag. So
Yes.
kind of flipping it a little bit, when you're speaking to an audience of brokers, where does that lead your conversation as far as what they should be doing for recruitment and retention? Because that's a big deal.
Let's come back to this whole conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
One, I believe that every broker should do lead generation because I believe that lead generation is a retention tool. Let me be clear. Here's the problem with the new agent, okay? And I've never publicly said this, so this is going to be breaking news here with you.
Love it.
Why, as a broker, would I ever invest in lead generation and give the lead to the least likely person to close it in the entire office? The new agent doesn't know buckets about a real estate transaction. So I'm going to use my hard-earned dollars as a company, attract the leads, and not give it to the most likely person to close. Then that means I'm a dumb business owner. It means I'm wasting my money. Okay. So no, I'm not giving the new agent not a lead of mine. I've never referred a lead, a highly valuable lead to a new licensee, with the exception, let me be clear, of my own son that I had to hand walk through the deal. So I didn't give him that lead as a real estate professional. I gave him that lead as his mother. There's a difference. Okay. And so unless you my son that I made a promise to when he was 7 that I would support him in his real estate endeavors because he told me this is what he was going to do, then I'm not giving you, that means that I'm a dumb business owner. And so everybody wants these leads. And what people don't understand, it is not advantageous to any broker to give the new licensee the lead. They're the least likely person who will cross the finish line. And also, the better the leads you give, the better the leads you receive, because they're going to give you feedback and you won't get another referral. And so it's kind of anti. And no one is telling, you come in, yeah, I got leads for you. Why would I spend money on leads and give them to you? I'm just not going to do that.
Right. Right. No, it's important. And a lot of that's all that mindset, the broker mindset, the agent mindset. I mean, how are we really recrafting that in the industry? Because it's almost crazy the way so many are doing it.
Well, I'm going to tell you, this is also crazy. So let's talk about compensation. And it's only because I got this beautiful screenshot that when I tell you it was a gut punch to me when I read this, what this agent stated is it caused steering and it allowed everyone to collect the same amount, regardless of experience, skill, or knowledge, right? So imagine when we did have cooperating compensation, you could come in day one with zero experience. And because we saw the cooperating compensation, you can make the same amount off of the deal as someone who has 5 decades and billions of dollars in sales experience. Make sense.
Makes sense.
Right? And so I'm not giving you the lead because you shouldn't make the most amount of money because you don't have any tenure. You don't know where the forms are in the MLS. You don't know about the addendums. I should not do that. But as a broker, and I need to point this out, we have 253 agents. The number 1, number 2, number 4, and number 6, I'm responsible for being at the company. Why? Because I'm preaching this lead generation. You are an entrepreneur. You need to have landing pages, sales funnels, follow-up emails in place for your company if you want to continue to eat. And the person who has the most leads can create the most streams of viable income. It don't have to be one stream because I took a database and I've created multiple streams of income. One of those streams of income, at the time, let's say my database was about 13,000 people, I turned around, created a new product, and earned $123,000 in less than 14 days because I had a customer relationship management system and I was nurturing leads. That was in addition to.
Yeah.
Just
in the market, that's what it comes down to, right? When we think about it, it's one of the things that I'm always teaching is, listen, your mission is to build your list. That's your job, is to get out there and build your list with as many streams as possible, right? Build it and then nurture it. Build it and then nurture it. That's it. That's your job. Now, we can break it down into how we're going to do that. And that's where I come in, right? Teaching marketing, skills and strategies and all of that. And yes, sometimes it's the most simple things that are the most effective. You send a weekly newsletter once a week. You have follow-up emails. You have SMS campaigns, and you're working on filling your list in many ways as possible. So we're completely aligned on that. And, I think that if we're thinking about who your target audience is, Marki, who are the people or what kind of agent is, if you were to fill an auditorium right now, and you are like, this is my one chance to make the most impact on this industry, who would be in that audience?
That's an interesting question. I'm going to say right now, I would want brokers because the real estate industry has shifted so much. And because real estate is a local business, I have the opportunity to travel 100 nights out of the calendar year. So I'm not just seeing what happens in Chicago. I'm actually going all across the world, really. And I'm bringing that information back to our brokerage, which is why we're the number one franchise in our system, right? And so it is the ability to have brokers there where I'm sharing the overall best practices globally. Because some of the things that I've even said on this podcast, people don't have that same mindset, right? And my mindset, I am clear, is different, but it's because I was born and raised as an entrepreneur and I treat real estate as a business. But it's not just how I was raised. It's also because I've gotten out of my own way and I'm innovative. So if you think about how is a mid-aged, overweight woman a prop tech investor and is an AI specialist, right? That defies the norm because people think I'm a mid-aged woman when I walk in, and I can see how they turn their back and pivot their conversation. And then they realize, oh, wait a minute, she might be someone. And then they turn to me. Like I physically see the change in the room. Okay. So people can't tell me it don't exist because I see it every time, right? I'm come in, I'm short, dark, and round, right? So not only am I mid-aged, right, overweight, Black woman, right, I'm discounted walking in the door. And I tell everybody it's the discount that makes me exceed all the expectations.
Right. You're like,
They're like, she's 50 something. She got kids. I'm the same age as her oldest child, right? They do all of that. And then I started talking about, well, because we're doing this, we increased our income by 283% year over year. And they're like, well, how you do that? And well, this is how we do it, right? So I would say that, never discount the person, right? But I would have brokers there and I would focus on entrepreneurship. And when I focus on entrepreneurship, it's not just entrepreneurship. Because I was a pre-licensed instructor for 12 years, I understand licensing rules, regulations, fair housing, and the code of ethics. A lot of people do not adhere to the rules, which then means they'll come up with something innovative that will put them out of business. It can be innovative, but it needs to be ethical. And a lot of people, since the NAR settlement agreement, have come up with non-ethical, non-DOJ abiding concepts. Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah. And that's where some people get hesitant of being innovative, right? They get nervous. Well, if I use this content creator, is it going to abide by the fair housing laws when it's doing my listing description or this or that? Or, you get paralysis by analysis. So how do you teach people to overcome that? I'm afraid of AI. I hear it all the time. I teach a class called AI Magic, showing, agents how you can be stronger, faster, and multiply yourself if you just leverage these simple tools, because we have to now, right? In order for us to be able to cover all those bases. How do you get people to get over that fear? And how do you encourage those in the industry on which avenues to use AI if they have a choice, right? A lot of times they don't realize they're using it. But if they're going to say, I need help with my marketing, how do you guide them?
Well, the number one thing is everybody's using AI, period.
Mhm.
We've
Yeah.
been AI'd for at least a decade now and consistently for the past 24 months, period. So you have a choice. Either you're going to aid other people in making money or you're going to leverage the tools to make money in your business. When I think about how people become paralyzed, I want to go back to the Realtors Code of Ethics, Article 11. You're supposed to be competent. How are you competent when you don't understand technology, when 90% of content consumed is going to be from a mobile device in the palm of your hand? And so I hear a lot of excuses all the time. When it comes to being ethical and lawful, right? Ignorance is no excuse for the law. Or let's go back to the day I got my license and I actually read the paperwork. It told me that I was responsible for keeping up with the changes to the rules and the regulations. That means that in the midst of everything, it is my responsibility to keep up with these rules. So when people tell me that they don't want to use it and they have all of these myths, it means that they're not competent and they haven't kept up with the changes to the rules and the regulations. But it also lets me know that they've positioned themselves to make the least amount of money over time.
Mm.
See, I want to make the most amount of money in the least amount of time. But if you're not using these tools, you're responsible for positioning yourself to make the least amount of money over time.
Wow. Yeah.
You did it to yourself.
That's right. That's right. Again, I love the way you put things just so plainly, right? And it's almost a lot to take in sometimes because when you're face to face with agents all the time, it's like you see their struggles and you understand it, but you just want to shake them sometimes and go like, hold on, listen, this is not the end of the world. Go meet yourself a commercial agent friend and go have a sit down, right?
Yep. And I preached that this past weekend.
I know
I
you
am
did. I know you did.
There are agents who avoid me because I am the no excuse zone. Like
Mhm.
I will listen, but it's only so many excuses. I'm not the person to talk to if you're coming from excuses because, they'll say, well, you're married. Yeah, but I was a single unwedded parent who took her baby daddy off of child support for 9 years. So me being married, I was killing it without a husband. Okay. People say, but you got this. Yeah, I do have that. But, well, you have this. But no, let me explain something to you. It was a struggle. I financially have lost everything 2 times, went through a bitter lawsuit with my family, did take my son's father off of child support. The man has never contributed more than $5,000 to a total 28-year-old Ben. And I sent him to college. You see what I'm saying? So bypass me with the excuses. I had to make a sacrifice. And I'm still often ridiculed because I am going to spend 100 nights per year on the road. And I do leave a husband and a 17-year-old. That 17-year-old, though, National Honor Society, straight A student. And he didn't even have to be that way because that's not a mandate for me, for you to be a straight A student. I want you to be a good person, right? That's just who he is. Okay. And so I think that I'm happily married. Don't know any other way to be, right? But I get to travel. I get to focus on my business. But my husband understood that when he married me.
I'm curious as to, so your point about like multiple income streams, right? I think particularly when you're first getting started, it's easy to just really focus on like the very narrow, okay, I need to sell houses, whatever it is. And so you're focused there and you're not really thinking of the bigger picture and thinking of like, okay, there are other things that I can do to bring in income as well that kind of revolve around that. And so I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that, particularly if you keep it focused on maybe the new agent, right? Like, how should they be attacking this to think more holistically and think about how they do make more money over time and not just rely on that one thing? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I want to give you an example to tie this in.
Yeah.
In the midst of the NAR settlement agreement, what I'm telling real estate agents to do now is focus on all sources of income to infuse into the real estate transaction. That means we have gift funds, we have grants, we have down payment assistance, We have EAH, which is an acronym for Employer Assisted Housing Programs. We have seller contributions to closing costs. Now, everybody's focused on number 5, but it's for others, right? So when I think about my real estate business, I'm thinking in the same identical way. If I got this one deal, how many streams of income can I extract from this one thing, right? So we got 5 and everybody focused on number 5. No, it was 4 other ways before there. So an example would be because we're doing a podcast. In 2019, I started Social Selling Made Simple. I then took that podcast and repurposed it into The Modern Real Estate Professional. That was my first international best-selling book. Because I wrote The Modern Real Estate Professional's Guide to Success, then I was asked to come in on numerous other books, like The Secrets of Top Real Estate Agents, which essentially was buyhomes.com before they were acquired, and some other books, Latino Women in Real Estate. So I was able to then come in as essentially a guest author, write the foreword for other publications. But in that first book, I learned how to publish. So now I have 30 publications and 6 are international bestsellers. And the 6 are all derived from podcast episodes, okay? Because I'm an international best-selling author, I was able to increase my speaking income within the first 30 days, was able to increase it by 40%. Now, it's very possible I wasn't charging enough in the first place, okay? So I'm taking that podcast to write these books, which is a standalone stream of income. It's actually my 4th stream of income. And so for me, when I'm talking to real estate agents, I need them to understand, and this is something that is being talked about by every national franchise. How are you diversifying your income? Okay. I actually am one of few agents who still profit share at a company that I get residual incomes from another company. My residual incomes are paid directly to my corporation that are then routed directly to my SEP IRA. So I'm not taxed on this residual income because it's passing through my company to fund my self-employment pension plan. So everything that I look at, when I told you I want to extract from it, I want to extract as much as humanly possible. So how many ways can you leverage your real estate license? Here's an example. Licensed in Illinois, and I was licensed as a broker in Indiana. I let my Indiana broker's license go because every deal I had ever done in Indiana was based on a referral. So my number one rule right now is do not get a second state broker's license anywhere because I don't really want to learn what street divides the values of the community, and it's going to pull my attention from everything else that I'm doing. So I'm not getting an additional state license. I'm only going to do referrals while I focus my attention on my business.
That's good advice. And it's advice you don't hear very often.
Oh, you don't hear it. And here's when I practice that. I have lipedema, which is a fat disorder. So I tell people this is no ordinary fat. This is extraordinary fat. With me saying that,
you look great and you look healthy. You look amazing.
And let me say this, and I am all those things, but I tell people I'm small in the waist, baby, but wide in these hips and thighs, okay? So
that's my spirit animal.
I decided that I was going to have surgery. Surgery was very expensive. Now, I could have taken the time to understand all of the rules and regulations around insurance. This is what I decided to do. Double down on my business, earn the skills and the money, pay for the surgery out of pocket. Don't worry about if you get reimbursed because you'll be able to take that skill set to make more money in the future. Me being a lipedema expert and how to get refunded on the insurance is not my book of business. And I didn't want it to become my book of business. And so I took the time to acquire new skills that would serve my business for years to come and paid for the surgery. Did not get the reimbursement I was supposed to get and told myself I wasn't going to be mad because I had this skill set that could make me more money.
Wow. Okay. So you are dynamic. You are eccentric. You walk into a room. I know you're there. You even have a voice that's like recognizable. Okay. Like I'll be like in a lobby and I'll be like, oh, Marki speaking. Like you just know. But obviously you were created for this and you've worked really hard, obviously, to back up the natural pizzazz that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's wisdom in life, right? Is to take the natural pizzazz that you have and optimize it, which I think optimization is probably your middle name in every aspect of your life. But what do you say to the thousands and thousands of agents that are listening to this podcast that are saying, you know what? I'm a constant contact customer. Constant contact, they are known for helping the small stand tall. I am a small business. I do have that entrepreneurial spirit, but video, really uncomfortable with it. Maybe they're brilliant and they're just struggling with the whole aspect of the marketing component, which is like 99% of what we're doing in the industry. How do you help somebody like that? They're saying like video is not even their thing. Like, do you encourage them to make video their thing, or do you help them to find their thing and double down on it?
No, I think everybody should create video content, period. I mean,
Okay.
the numbers, if you want the biggest bang for your buck in the least amount of time. And we live in a world today of artificial intelligence. So there's no excuse for not having video content when you can do faceless videos and you can do deep dubs and deep fakes. So once again, this is the no excuse zone. But let me tell you about this sixth generation entrepreneur. I told you Skylar wasn't doing anything. He didn't become consistent until December the 13th, 2023. He posted his first viral Instagram video. If we were to go over to his page right now and look at 60 videos, I would tell you that only 6 have his face in it. So 90% of his content does not have his face, nor does it have his voice. But since December the 19th, 2023, he's added over 1,300 contacts to his customer relationship management system. He has an email sequence. I got an email from him yesterday with what I thought was a genius business strategy that he sent to everybody inside of his CRM. And so what I am clear about when I look at our 253 agents and I look at number 1, number 2, number 4, and number 6, they create video content. That's all I can say. So I'm pointing out, and here's what's crazy about them. And they all focus on down payment assistance programs, which is something that a lot of agents won't do. Do what other people don't do. But I will say this. I realized 2015, so about a decade ago, that I could not compete at that time with the Zillow and the homes.coms of the world, not when it comes to ad spend. No real estate agent can. Okay. What am I going to do that they don't do well? How am I going to differentiate myself? The reason that my face and my voice are well recognized on the south side of the city of Chicago is because I've created more video content than any other agent on the south side of the city of Chicago, period. I'm going to venture to say I'm the most recognized, okay? Because it's not just my face. You create video, it's your audio. It's your audio to text transcription. So they reading it, they hearing it, they seeing it, okay? And video is the only form of content that you can do that with. But I did it because I understood who I couldn't compete with. And I know that Zillow and homes.com don't have 2 feet down on the ground creating video content every single day. Not on these Southside streets, they don't.
Right.
So what are you going to do that's different? How are you an entrepreneur and everything you do is like what somebody else does or you do the bare minimum?
Mm. It's so true. I mean, it really comes back down to having the mindset of a business owner, right?
This is
a lot
business.
Of times, I've had people say to me before, like, oh, you're, with Constant Contact, you guys are for small business. I never realized you were for real estate. And it kind of makes you chuckle.
Look, email marketing and landing pages. And I'm going to say it again. In less than, and I even got the picture, so I want to get these dates for you. $123,000 because I have a customer relationship management system that actually changed everything. On that platform now, we will end this year with an additional $1 million in income, an additional $200,000 per year because I had a customer relationship management system with an email list. And that's not my number one source of income.
It's all about, are you nurturing your list? Are you intentfully growing it? And are you nurturing it? Are you an email influencer? Are you sending out SMS campaigns? Well, I have a whole class on that right now, Marki. SMS marketing. What does that mean? Oh, well, I do SMS marketing. I send texts to my clients. No, 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 no. Hold on one second. This is the missing piece to your marketing strategy, right? The trifecta. We've got email, we've got social media, and we have SMS marketing. We just won the Inman Award for best use of AI in
I
a
saw
marketing
that.
platform, right? So, hey,
Congratulations.
raise the roof for us. But the thing that's amazing, what I love about it, and when we submitted this, because I've been in the industry and working for other tech companies, and I know what agents are using or what they're not using or what they're spending so much money on, and it's not working for them, it really comes down to something very simple. Constant Contact has really done a great job to say, what is the most important thing for an entrepreneur? And how can we take most of it off of their plate and do it for them, right? Which is where AI comes in. So, of course, our platform, if an agent's having an open house, you go ahead and put the details of the open house and it'll literally create the marketing strategy, the emails, the landing pages, the social media promotion, the follow-up campaigns, the SMS for those who are opted in, the whole thing. And then as the business owner, as the CEO of your company, you go through and you go, yep, well, that looks great. Go, done, right? It's off my plate. If you are doing the fundamental things that if you just said, hey, come to my email class or come to my text class, people will be like, well, that doesn't sound very intriguing. But those are the fundamental things that working together are going to cause the fire in your business. It is what is going to scale you. And so much of the things you talk about, I'm like, man, if people would just take those nuggets.
Thinking about Constant Contact, right? The landing page. My son can tell you his opt-in time. They're coming at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So when you're asleep and you then fire that email off to them, right? Or the SMS, right? And you're going to get substantially more engagement on your SMS than you're going to get on your email. But you want to have these systems because when people talk about mailbox money or money in your sleep, if you don't have this, you're not going to ever create that. I like to get up and have more money in my every morning I get up, I have more money in my bank account, right? It's a joy, but you have to build it. It's not going to build itself. No one's going to build it for you. Because you have infused AI, you've made it as easy as humanly possible for someone to build a business. It doesn't get any easier than right now in this moment because of artificial intelligence and its ability to repurpose and automate what are some very hard, tedious tasks. If I look, I didn't even have, I had a spreadsheet back in the day, right? And so now is that time, right, for them to set that up. I was very shocked with the percentage of licensed real estate professionals that use Constant Contact, but Constant Contact is so easy to use and everyone knows it as the email marketing, but you all have landing pages. You need landing pages. Forget, like, oh, I probably shouldn't say this. Forget your tired website that you have not updated. A landing page is what you need. That is what is going to generate the leads. I don't know how many times to preach this, but last year I added 15,000 contacts and it was because of a landing page, not because of the website. I got a website. And look, my landing pages are infused in my website, but it's that landing page that made it ring 15,000 new leads.
It goes back to there's so many fundamentals we're not doing, but I think that having people like you in the industry just being that voice, not only, are you inspiring folks to say like, hey, I didn't start here. I had my struggles, but I've learned how to maximize the things that are going to actually make a difference. And to your point, I think that is why we have so many agents that are using Constant Contact. Listen, when I came to the company, I was shocked. I had no idea. And then I go to conferences now and everyone's like, whoa, Constant Contact showing up. Since when did you guys become a real estate tech platform? And it's kind of like, we've always been here. Of course, we're putting energy behind that because we really feel like we're in a moment right now to really step that up. And what's really cool, and I know I'm overtaken and I want Dave to be able to chime in as we start to wrap up. But I've been in this space to where, back in the day, curated content was the thing. It was like all these companies were creating this done for you content. And honestly, 10 years ago, I would even teach it. Like, listen, as long as you're on social media, that's what matters. Top of my marketing. Sure, the article is about 3 easy steps to changing your cat litter, but it's fine because at least you're on social media. And that was enough for the moment. Well, then, of course, it got to the point where, algorithms changed. And if you're posting about 3 easy steps to changing your cat litter, no one's liking or sharing that. And the algorithms basically are like, okay, you don't exist. So now agents have to be authentic. so scary, right? Oh my gosh, now we have to be authentic. I don't have time to be authentic. Even though I'm selling my brand, I am my business. So it became a struggle, and less agents were being active on social media with any type of authentic content. Well, now enter AI. And AI is now giving agents the ability to still be able to produce authentic, more organic, hyper local content. You know what I mean? Like, so whenever I'm with you, like, no more excuses when people say, oh my gosh, tech is so complex now, it's making the industry harder. No, 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 no. It has never been easier for you to put your marketing hat on. 90% of your marketing can be automated. You know that.
Yes. Then today.
That's right.
And it's going to get easier.
That's
but
right.
This is the easiest day in my 54 years of living to use technology.
That's right. And hey, if the average realtor in the US is a 56-year-old woman, this is the best day of our lives.
And they are.
I'm hoping you can maybe walk us through something here.
Okay.
Because I think you mentioned some interesting things, right? Video, of course. You've mentioned landing pages. You've mentioned CRM. You've mentioned kind of all the pieces in there. For someone listening, what does that process look like, right? Because you're mentioning all the tools, but how do you put it all together to then have money come out the other end? What does that look like?
So I'm going to do a call to action for my son, Skylar Lemons. Skylar Lemons Real Estate over on Instagram. Skylar's going to post a vertical video, okay? He's going to have some great music, and sometimes it will have his voice, sometimes it will not. He's going to use a third-party tool called ManyChat. ManyChat is going to respond and then send that person a DM, linking them to his website. What we know is that for every 3,000 views he receives, he gets a lead. When they click on that link in their DM, it's taking them over to the landing page where they can subscribe to his down payment grant list, or they can schedule a $25,000 grant qualifying call. It's a consultation, okay? And so he took the video demonstrating you can own this house for $1,600 per month. He set the automation up. They come over to his landing page. They're inside of his CRM once they give their email, first name, and last name. And now I want to say he probably has a 12-part email follow-up system. And once a month, he sends a SMS message. They all have additional call to actions. Every last one of those emails demonstrates the ability of leveraging down payment assistance. One of them is a lady who earned 6 figures, interest rate, I want to say 6.5, and she walked away from the closing table with over $3,100. So he's given them these emails that they could see themselves and the possibilities of coming to the closing table with little to no money, but acquire home ownership.
Thank you.
That's the process.
I love it. I love it. Because I think that's the missing piece oftentimes, right? Because like it's very easy, particularly I think with social too, because you get into this sense of it's easy to do things, but you have to actually do things that move people forward versus just kind of taking the action. So I love that. Thank you for explaining that. If there was one thing you were starting today, what's the first thing you would do?
I'll create a video.
I walked right into that one, didn't I?
I was going to say, Dave,
I would create a video.
The brick wall.
Let me tell you what. No, actually, one of my publications, 6 Figures in 12 Months. I think that every person should reach strategically out to 8 people by 8 a.m. based on their family, their occupation, their recreation, and their dreams, with the purpose of getting them into their CRM and being able to reach out to them. So if I was coming into the business today, I'm going to go to my social platform of choice where my client hangs out, and I'm going to strategically reach out to 8 people by 8 a.m.
Well, friend, let's recap some items from that conversation. And Steph, I want to go to you. What stood out to you from this conversation with Marki?
Yeah, number one is confidence. You know, confidence is built through grit and purpose. And I really felt that Marki embodies the confidence that comes from that resilience and that hard work. She maintains such a perspective, reminding real estate professionals to view themselves as the business owners that they are, and they are focused on profitability.
Yeah, I really love that kind of the owner business mindset first, right? She really focused on that idea of creating multiple streams of income. And it's really all about just asking the question, right? Like, what are the ways that you can extract the most from what it is that you do? What else you got for us, Steph?
Honestly, consistency. I would say that's the big number two, that consistency is your path to greatness. Marki emphasizes the importance of a disciplined schedule. As a matter of fact, you know, she gives the advice to agents to reach out strategically to 8 people every day by 8 a.m. Now that takes some discipline, right? But that's what's going to elevate their success.
Yeah, time and time again, we hear from everybody that consistency is so important. And so even if you just think about Marki's approach to video content, right? It's really the thing that is her content engine. And so she's consistently using the video, the audio, and the text to just reach more people and open up new opportunities for herself. And she just gets that message in front of the people that need to read it, hear it, or see it, right? And really, video is really the only form of content that allows you to do that. And so, I don't know, Steph, it might be time to start thinking about adding video to your marketing strategy, right?
Absolutely. And it is time to stop living in the excuse zone, right? This is a no excuse zone. Success requires sacrifice. Marki is very clear that real estate professionals need to embrace growth and innovation, particularly around video. A lot of agents really hold back with leveraging new technology and just getting out of our own way and start having confidence to be in front of that camera.
Yeah, Marki's mindset here was really something else. People often wonder, right? Like, what's the secret to success? And I'm sure Marki would agree here. It's you just have to do those things that other people won't do, right? At the end of the day, the tools are there. You just need to use them. And it's that idea of taking action that's really going to allow you to differentiate yourself. So, Steph, final question here for you when we start thinking about what we heard here today. What's the one thing our listener can do to take action based on this episode?
Everyone needs to incorporate video right now, right? And start incorporating video in your marketing strategy. How do you do that? Set aside time, right? Maybe write down 5 ideas of questions that your audience would want to know and hear from you. How can you answer that and brand yourself as that community expert, the industry expert, and just hit that record button?
Yeah, I love that. And I'll just add one thing to that, Steph. Don't overthink it. Don't think you need to get all this fancy equipment. You've got a phone on your device that is completely serviceable in this area. Just start there. Get used to doing it. Get yourself more comfortable. And then once you start to see those things getting better and working for you, you can think about upgrading, but don't let that be an excuse not to do it. So there you have it, friend. Steph, thanks so much for joining us for this episode.
Thank you.
See you next time.
See you guys.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Be a Marketer podcast. Please take a moment to leave us a review. Just go to ratethispodcast.com/BAM. Your honest feedback will help other small business marketers like yourself find the show. That's ratethispodcast.com/BAM. Well, friend, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and continued success to you and your business.